What's up everybody, JJ here, and today we're checking out the Kokoni 3D printer. This thing is tiny, a toy of a 3D printer, easily one-handable. When it comes to 3D printers, that's so small. It's so small, this camera shot is way too wide. Let's bring it in close. There you go, now you can see an accurate representation of just how big this is. Or small. And with this small form factor, you're also getting a small build volume. You're only getting a 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters by 50 millimeters build volume. So it's really only some small things you're able to build in here. More of a toy of a 3D printer. You're not getting a massive 3D printer, and I think that's kind of what they're going for. Easy, simple, and cheap. Another thing that is important, this is an Indiegogo Kickstarter type campaign. It is not a product you're buying when you support a product on Indiegogo. You're supporting the campaign that will lead to a product being created. If the company runs out of money and is unable to ship a product, you just don't get that product. I just thought it was important to clarify that up front. It is a really cool product and the campaign was fully funded. They were able to send out a test unit like this, and I did see online people were saying they were starting to receive their printers, but it just is important to know the risks of backing a Kickstarter or Indiegogo type campaign. So you don't have the same consumer guarantees if the company folds and is not able to deliver a product at that price point. Not the same type of guarantees you would have going through Amazon or eBay. Even AliExpress would have some sort of recourse. But onto the printer. This is a very unique printer. And this is by far one of the easiest 3D printers I've ever unboxed. From cardboard box to it printing took about 10 to 15 minutes. Going through the app, getting that set up, creating an account, that was the longest amount of time. You basically get this out of the box, pull out any packaging, attach the filament case on the back. This is the filament case, super easy to take off. There's this clip here. You simply unclip it, pull it off, and you can change out your filament that way. If you do it in the app, it will retract the filament into there. That makes it easier. And then you take a new box, slide it on here, clip it down, turn that clip vertically, and you are ready to go. When it comes to the controls on here, there's two controls. There's an on-off switch here, and a little red button down here. And this red button is for pairing the Wi-Fi. So you really will only need to press this button one time. And from then on out, the only control you will use on the printer is an on-off button. There's no screens, no dials, no switches to deal with. On-off, and everything else is controlled in the phone. And here's what a print looks like when you take it off the bed. This slides and it magnets straight off of there. It is flexible, so you just bend it and it releases off your parts. Do be careful so you don't break them, because it's just plastic that you're pulling off of here, and this one had some pretty small pieces. There we go. So this was a little 3-part folding chair. Folds up like that, and then folds flat. Very fun, easy to print little model that was almost zero effort to get printed on my part. So this is what the app looks like here. This is a beta version, and I did have to get the English version sent directly from them. As of right now, it's not on the Play Store or the iOS store. You have to get the APK directly from them, but I think that's just because a lot of the software is still fairly beta. And so when you turn on the printer, it'll go through and do this homing. There's a nice little light in here that turns on, and it will do this flashing as it's doing the calibration and homing. The first time I did get this out of the box, the light just kept flashing and it never finished this calibration. I contacted the company and they said probably a wire came undone inside of there. So hopefully that was just an issue, since this is a sample they're sending to reviewers, and that the actual production won't have those issues. And it was fairly simple to do. Everything on this machine is Phillips head screws, so you probably have a screwdriver around that would work on all of these screws. On this front page, they really try to make it as easy as possible. Guide will step you through any issues you're having or any demonstrations you want. There's all these little videos in here of how to change filament, how to check if something's not going wrong, object modeling, removing the modeling, anything you want to do, they explain it very simply there. Create on the other side is how you can create your models. They do have all these recommended models, and there are just a bunch of little models here. This is a general of all of them, but up top you can go through to different categories of types of machines. A lot of little flexible machines like this. This is a little dump truck that dumps and rolls around because the wheels are rolly as well. And the nice part about these models is you know they will work here because they have examples of it being printed on this printer. So you can select a model here, and it's nice that it gives you some examples of how large it is and print time. It will kind of give you an estimate of how much time it would take to print. You select print, and then it loads the model from the server onto your phone. Shows you a little example here. You can scale it up if you wanted X, Y, or Z scaling, or overall scaling will scale all of it. Now it's going to be some funky scale. Then you can change quality from low, medium, and high. There's really not that big of a difference between them. I would probably print most things at low just to save a little bit of time since the detail isn't that much different. And then if you hit print in the top right corner, it starts preheating and printing your model. The next big feature this one has is internal AI modeling. And so you can upload a selfie and it will create a 3D model of a person. And I'm going to show you the results that we get out of it. First, let me take a selfie. So now I've got a picture taken. I took it against a white background to give it the best possible picture. I also tried to make my hair stand up a little bit so it would be more unique to kind of see what it would do with something like that. They do say it takes about 3 minutes. And while it's doing that, I can talk over some of the unique things this printer has done to make it easy to use. One unique choice here is how they implemented a sort of auto bed leveling. On most 3D printers, bed leveling is a big part of entry-level budget 3D printers. There's 4 screws on the 4 corners of the print bed, and you've got to manually level those. And there's various software implementations that can try to help you out, but it's still a lot of calibrating of those 4 screws. With this one, they put the entire hot end carriage assembly on a spring, so it just kind of sprung down to the print bed and really mashes in that first layer. So if anything's out of alignment, it's just going to be smashed into that first layer, which does give you pretty bad first layer results, which is kind of odd on some of these models with wheels especially. They kind of smash in that first layer, so the wheels don't spin as well as you would hope. I feel like at this price point they could have put in a basic probe in there. It's kind of a unique way to not need bed leveling on a 3D printer, but it is at the detriment of your first layers, and they are just going to be smashed in there. Also, it does print with a skirt. A skirt is kind of a ring around whatever your print you're doing, and it helps prime the nozzle. I like using skirts on all of my printers. And in this case, the skirts are so dug into the printer, some of them I couldn't get off, and I was scraping at them. They're just kind of dug in there. They will come off when they attach to other prints you try to print on there, but you're not really able to get them off of there with that weird spring system. But they do even mention in some of the documentations you're not buying a high-end printer, and most of what you're buying here is convenience. The print quality isn't going to be amazing. It's easy to use though. Everything you need is on your phone. You don't need a printer, you don't need to learn how to use slicing software. It does the slicing for you and spits out little prints like this. And they're fun little things to have. There is going to be some quality that I really am missing out on because this is very different from most printers I use. I think this is really for non-tech savvy people, children. It is really more of a toy of a 3D printer. So I really don't think this is targeting the engineering type market who want to really dig into it and get the most optimization out of your printer. You're not going to upgrade and mod a printer like this. This is more of a simple, take it out of the box, and have fun with 3D printing some little models. Because it's all their models and their little way of doing it. There is the AI modeling side of things, but when it comes to printing regular little objects like this, their slicer will tell you how you're going to print it. There are all these little advanced things I wish I could tweak and change in the slicer. You can't add supports on any models, thus overhangs are going to be hard. You can't change print speed. It's predefined at what print speed it will run at. That means you're not going to optimize the speed of prints, but you're also not going to get as many failed prints as I do when I'm trying to really push the limits of what a printer can do. So this is a great example of it being beta software. I'll turn that off for now. It keeps failing to do the AI modeling. It goes through the entire process, and at the end it just says failure to do the modeling. I was able to do it the first time I tried last week when I tested it, and so I thought I could do a live demonstration here, but now it's not working. And so hopefully before the review goes out, I could show you an example of how it works, and I will put that in here if I can. And they do like to reiterate, it is still beta software, and they're still definitely working on it. I've had several updates of the app and the firmware on the machine since even I got it. But this isn't even really functionality I'm super interested in. I think the library of 3D models that they have on this app is really what interests me most, making it very easy for anyone to just scroll through here. A child, anyone who knows how to use a phone, can scroll through here, pick out a model, get it printed, and have a little 3D printed toy. They've just created their own thing. I think this could really help spark creativity for really anyone. I think something simple like this is a great way to expand the amount of people who can use 3D printers. It no longer has to be a full-on engineer who loves tinkering and delving into all the gadgetry and software and firmware behind a 3D printer, you can just use an app to do it all for you. But that, of course, does come with its caveats and downsides. One question I commonly saw on the Indiegogo comments page was, how do you use filament that's not this? This is a really nice dry box it comes in. Inside of here, there's a desiccant packet that will keep that filament in there nice and dry. But if you run out of filament here, you can use any other filament. You simply take it off. First, you gotta take this off, and inside of here, and on the back here, there's a bunch of screws. You take that off, it kind of clamshells open, and then you could either leave the back off and run the filament up through there, or I just drilled a hole through it so I can run the filament through that hole, up and through the extruder gears, since the extruder gears are on this filament pack. So the gears are inside of here to push the filament forward, instead of it normally being on the printer and the filament is kind of a separate thing. So this is more than just a filament spool, there are gears inside of here. And with a printer this small, they say it's so small it could fit right onto your desk. Well, if you don't have a desk that normally looks like mine, if you have a nice, clean, perfect desk, then yeah, you could have this fit right on your desk. And it is a pretty quiet printer. It's one I wouldn't mind having on my desk if I had a little bit of room for it. The only noise is kind of that fan, which I think a bass fan noise isn't that annoying. What is annoying is a bunch of motor noises. And this one doesn't really have any of that. It really wouldn't bother me to have this running nearby where I was working. But anyway, I think that covers the usage of using this printer. Very easy to use. You can use your own filaments here. It's so small and easy, you could put this in your backpack, take it on a weekend trip. It's all gonna be fairly basic prints, but it's all controlled by your phone, super easy. You don't need to learn how to use a slicing software. You don't need to find your own models. It's all on the app, and very easy to use. And if you have any questions of things I didn't cover in this video, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to help you out. And now that they are starting to ship these to their warehouses, you could probably find it on Amazon pretty soon, and I will put links as I see it pop up on various retailers. But anyway, go out there, create something amazing today with any 3D printer, small, big, or anything in between.